Leonard Nimoy's alcoholism, and Everybody Loves Raymond. Next ET.
A fresh new terror alert tonight. The government says there is, quote, credible evidence the U.S. may be the target of another attack over the next week. A new case of anthrax today, even as health officials insist your mail is probably safe, but some mail is sterilized to be sure. More U.S. firepower moves into position near Afghanistan while U.S. Special Forces operate inside the country. And Eye on America. Combat patrol for U.S. fighter jets, not in Afghanistan, but over American cities.
This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. The U.S. government late today issued a new terror alert, the second such warning in less than 3 weeks. The FBI says there is, quote, credible evidence that a new attack against the United States is possible in the week ahead. Correspondent Jim Stewart, our law enforcement expert at our Washington Bureau, has more about this latest alert and what's behind it. Jim?
Dan, this warning, like the one issued earlier this month, is based on assessments made by the CIA and National Security Agency. It appears to be based on information gathered by foreign intelligence agencies as well as communications intercepts and tips picked up by U.S. operatives. What is slightly different from the October the 11th threat warning is that this one is specific for this week, but that's about all that's specific about it.
The administration views this information as credible, but unfortunately it does not contain specific information as to the type of attack or specific targets.
Officials, however, defended such vague warnings, suggesting that their October the 11th alert may have prevented a terrorist incident.
It's very difficult to tell, but it may well have helped to avert such an attack.
But what is already confusing some state and local police is that the October the 11th threat warning was still in effect and will remain in effect after this one lapses. Apparently, however, the information that intelligence analysts gathered was thought so compelling that the FBI decided once again to sound the alert. Dan?
Well, Jim, will some cities or police departments, say here in Manhattan or Los Angeles, be getting special alerts indicating they may be in more danger than other cities?
Dan, no, it doesn't appear to be that way. Everyone will get the same alert, we're told, no matter if you're in Troy, Alabama, or you're the New York Police Department. The message is the same. Stay alert, stay focused. Dan?
Jim Stewart live at our Washington Bureau. The new security alert came as President Bush tried to reassure the public that the government has a firm grip on terror threats, anthrax especially. On that score, tests found anthrax spores, some of them, in more government buildings. And CBS's John Roberts reports tonight there's a new skin anthrax case, a New Jersey woman who is now recovering. John, what about that?
Dan, the 51-year-old New Jersey woman who has a confirmed case of skin anthrax is the first non-postal worker in that state to come down with the disease. Officials are puzzled as to how she got it. They say that while she worked at a business near the Trenton postal facility from which several anthrax-containing letters were originally mailed, there is no obvious connection. Here in Washington, there were no new cases of anthrax reported today, but there were new discoveries of contamination.
Supreme Court justices were forced into temporary quarters today, the first time in 66 years after their mailroom tested positive for anthrax. Traces were also found today at the State Department and a building that houses both the FDA and Voice of America.
We think probably in most cases it's mail that was processed at the same time as the Daschle letter that was cross-contaminated by it.
But investigators are aggressively searching for what they believe is at least one more anthrax-filled letter that went through the infamous Brentwood sorting station, spreading spores and anxiety. That concern is reflected in a new CBS News New York Times poll, which found the majority of Americans feel the government has not done enough to prepare for a biological attack and that the government is not telling people what they need to know about anthrax.
Between the CDC and the health department, everybody's just contradicting themselves.
After a week of conflicting statements, the administration is now attempting to speak with one voice and admitted today they need to do better.
We know we have to get stronger, and we're working with the Congress to ramp up as quickly as possible.
Chairing the first meeting of his new Homeland Security Council today, President Bush again promised the government is doing all it can to protect Americans, but added, with war comes uncertainty.
The country understands we've entered into a new period in our history. Lives are simply not going to be as normal as they were in the past.
The president also announced today the creation of a new task force to track foreign terrorists. Its mission is to identify and plug holes in the immigration system that allowed terrorists into this country, and to identify terrorists already here and get them out. Dan?
Our chief White House correspondent John Roberts. At a New York City postal facility where traces of anthrax were discovered, absenteeism has climbed to nearly 30%. CBS's Byron Pitts has more now about mail, fear, and what is and isn't being done about it.
In Lima, Ohio, mail arrived by the truckload, nearly 70 tons from a postal facility in Washington, D.C. that tested positive for anthrax. All boxed and shipped to this private company for sterilization, the same radiation process used to kill bacteria in meat and on medical products.
It actually destroys the bacteria. It disrupts the DNA and renders the bacteria, the anthrax bacteria, ineffective.
It's the latest effort by the U.S. Postal Service to safeguard the mail, its employees, and the general public. After 15 people nationwide tested positive for anthrax, including 9 postal workers, 2 of whom died.
The employee's health is everybody's #1 priority. That comes first.
But postal employees aren't so sure. In New York, lawyers for the Postal Workers Union filed court papers to close the Manhattan Processing Center. Union lawyers in Florida filed to close facilities there.
You must remove our people from harm's way.
None of this could come at a worse time for the Postal Service, which, according to analysts, could lose close to $3 billion in revenue by the end of the fiscal year.
This is the worst circumstance I have ever seen the Postal Service face.
Gene Del Polito, president of the Association for Postal Commerce, says the Postal Service and many retailers normally make the bulk of their money between now and Christmas.
If they don't make the revenue now, they don't make it for the rest of the year.
Already, some credit card companies are waiving customer late fees due to the potential slowdown in mail service. It's the kind of grace period the Postal Service would welcome from the general public. Byron Pitts, CBS News, New York.
On the military side of the war on terrorism, the U.S. Navy is rotating its warships to keep overwhelming firepower within striking distance of Afghanistan. 4 vessels of the carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt's battle group passed through the Suez Canal today to replace ships of the Enterprise battle group, now home or on their way home. As CBS's David Martin reports, the United States is now more actively supporting anti-Taliban forces on the ground and supplying them by air.
In addition to airdropping food to Afghan civilians, the U.S. has now begun parachuting ammunition to Northern Alliance troops fighting the Taliban. But Defense Secretary Rumsfeld says it's slow and cumbersome.
The problem is you drop it with chutes. We don't have airfields that we're using at the present time. You drop it with parachutes, and it gets down on the ground. And it takes a long time to get it from there into a weapon.
Ground transportation in northern Afghanistan is literally a matter of horsepower.
They're moving them frequently, not with vehicles, but with horses and donkeys and mules. And it takes time to get them unpacked and moved out to where the people are.
American Green Berets are also traveling by horseback behind the Northern Alliance lines with satellite phones to call in airdrops and bombing runs, using high-powered binoculars and lasers to pinpoint targets for jets overhead. But 21st century technology still is not error-free, and inevitably a target is misidentified or bombs go astray. But Rumsfeld says the civilian casualties accidentally caused by American bombing are outweighed by the civilian casualties deliberately caused by the September 11th airliner attacks, which the U.S. blames on Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda network and his Taliban protectors.
Responsibility for every single casualty in this war, be they innocent Afghans or innocent Americans, rests at the feet of Taliban and al-Qaeda.
Most of the bombing is now directed at frontline targets near Kabul and Mazar-e-Sharif, which has an airfield the U.S. wants to use to fly in supplies. But Taliban troops have a 3 or 4 to 1 advantage, And there is real doubt that even with American airstrikes, the Northern Alliance can seize the airfield before winter.
The Pentagon is also considering a plan to set up a base of its own inside Afghanistan from which it could launch ground operations deeper into Taliban-controlled territory. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Defense Secretary Rumsfeld also said today he is, quote, anxious to see the anti-Taliban rebels for what's called the United Front attack Taliban-held cities and airfields. But as CBS's Maureen Maher reports from inside Afghanistan, there are few signs that will happen anytime soon.
In northeastern Afghanistan, the United Front spent today firing off the first rounds in a new offensive against the Taliban. For the first time, U.S. jets ran air raids in the region on Sunday against what the United Front believes could be as many as 25,000 Taliban troops. CBS News was taken to the new front lines by what more closely resembled a ragged militia than a beefed-up military. We're half a mile from the Taliban front lines. Yesterday, U.S. airstrikes attempted to soften them. Today, the United Front is following it up with its own tank fire. Under the umbrella of that tank and other ground fire, the front tried to drive out its enemy. The Taliban responded with little more than sporadic gunfire and shelling. CBS News tried to visit the forward observation tower used to direct the fire, but we were told to leave by the local commander. He claimed 2 Americans were inside, consulting with United Front leaders. That report could not be independently confirmed, but as the Pentagon has said, it is airdropping ammunition to the United Front. The alliance again insists it is ready to take on the Taliban, calling up what it says are veteran combat troops, veterans who have difficulty distinguishing left from right. As the 4th week of the bombing campaign gets underway, it's become clear that America's allies on the ground need more help than was initially thought, or than the United Front is willing to admit. Maureen Maher, CBS News, at the front lines in northeastern Afghanistan.
In Pakistan, religious tensions are running high over the U.S.-led anti-terror war in Afghanistan. There was a funeral today for Pakistani Christians gunned down during church services yesterday. 3 masked gunmen fired on the Protestant congregation meeting in a Catholic church with automatic weapons, killing at least 16 people. No one has claimed direct responsibility. Up next here on the CBS Evening News, flu and anthrax may produce similar symptoms. With flu season here, we'll report to you what you need to know.
If I had a man like Hefty.
If I had a man like Hefty, he'd always be coming up with new ways to impress me.
Introducing Hefty the Gripper, the first kitchen bag with a stretch and grip top so it hugs the can and won't slip.
Oh, and he'd know how to hold on tight.
Then he wouldn't cave under pressure. Nothing's made like the Gripper. It stretches, grips, and stays put so it can take it like a man.
And when I'm done with him, ciao, baby.
Bye-bye. So long. The Gripper, new from Hefty, the strong, dependable type.
I'm every man.
And every woman who ever suffered from frequent, persistent heartburn.
If you've treated your heartburn and changed your diet, but it comes back 2 or more days a week, then you may know about the burning pain of acid reflux disease.
But there's something about acid reflux that I didn't know.
Over time, that acid churning up can wear away the lining of your esophagus.
I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I didn't.
But today, there's a purple pill called Nexium. It's from the makers of Prilosec. Just 1 prescription Nexium a day gives many people complete resolution of heartburn symptoms.
That could mean complete heartburn relief.
And importantly, Nexium is also proven to heal erosions in the esophagus caused by acid reflux. Only a doctor can determine if you have this damage. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium and Prilosec are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. So talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and for a free trial certificate for Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with today's purple pill called Nexium.
It seems like only yesterday. When I started skating at 8 years old, I never thought I'd experience the thrill of winning a medal. With all the great memories has come another thing I thought I'd never experience, the pain of osteoarthritis.
Vioxx is here, a prescription medicine for osteoarthritis pain. With one little pill a day, Vioxx can provide powerful 24-hour relief. Vioxx specifically targets only the COX-2 enzyme, a key source of arthritis pain. People with allergic reactions such as asthma to aspirin or other arthritis medicines should not take Vioxx. In rare cases, serious stomach problems such as bleeding can occur without warning. Tell your doctor if you have liver or kidney problems. For more information, talk to your doctor about once daily Vioxx for the relief of osteoarthritis pain.
Perhaps my biggest victory is to be able to plan my day around my life instead of my pain.
Ask your doctor if Vioxx is right for you. Vioxx for everyday victories.
Some economists believe the cost of fighting terrorism will be a factor in returning the U.S. government to deficit spending. The government reported today that the surplus for the just concluded fiscal year shrank to $127 billion. The Bush administration is quick to note that that is still the second biggest surplus on record, second only to the previous year's $237 billion. On the CBS Market Watch, after a three-day rally on Wall Street, investors took profits and prices took a dive. The Dow lost 275 points, the Nasdaq 69. Flu season is officially here, and this time around there's an added complication because flu and anthrax can produce similar symptoms. If you're concerned about this, get the facts. CBS News medical correspondent Elizabeth Caledon has them for you.
Carol Nespola isn't taking any chances. She has sore throat, minor aches and pains, and major anxiety.
I would like to know that I don't have anthrax.
Flu season is underway, but this year will be like no other as the symptoms are indistinguishable from symptoms of early anthrax. Doctors like Robert Mittman are bracing for nervous patients. He's starting to ask questions he doesn't always ask.
What do you do for work?
Flu is difficult to diagnose in a normal year. 50% of doctors get it wrong in peak season. But now, with anthrax thrown in the mix, getting it right has suddenly become critical. Dr. Mittman plans to rely heavily on the rapid flu test called Z-Stat Flu.
In this climate, with the possibility of anthrax, it is so important physicians to rule in or rule out influenza. And to be able to do that in 15 minutes while a patient is in front of you makes a world of difference.
Another important tool is the vaccine. Those at highest risk should get it now. The elderly over 65, pregnant women, people with asthma, diabetes, and heart disease. Doctors will be able to rule out flu quickly. Patients will have peace of mind.
It's very important for everybody to get the flu vaccine just to allay people's fears so they're not put in a situation where they feel well and have to worry about bioterrorism.
The calls to vaccinate have led to a situation of high demand and short supply.
We've given about 700 vaccine injections.
Is that unusual?
That's very unusual. It's the most we've ever given.
Ironically, anthrax, a rare disease that has killed 3 people, may have finally convinced Americans to get a flu shot to fight a disease that kills more than 20,000 every year. Elizabeth Caledon, CBS News, New York.
The U.S. Supreme Court today let stand a Virginia law that requires public school students to begin each day with a minute of silence. Some people concerned about civil liberties under the Constitution had challenged the law, arguing it violates the Constitution by promoting religion. The justices rejected the challenge without comment. Up next, Eye on America. They never expected a mission like this. U.S. fighter pilots fly combat patrol over American cities.
Want to try that triple Lutz?
What the heck? I got supplemental insurance.
What's that?
A Lutz?
No, that something insurance.
Even the best insurance doesn't give you cash for things like lost pay and other expenses. This does.
What does?
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Who'd you expect? Bob Dole?
Follow Mark Martin and the Viagra racing team this season.
Get to your doctor for a checkup and find out if a free sample of Viagra is right for you.
And for more information right now, race over to Viagra.com.
Want to see a bright idea from Crest? It's dual action whitening. It not only whitens your teeth, it helps keep them whiter by repelling new stains. For a smile that nothing can tarnish. Dual action whitening from Crest.
I feel like it's crazy here. My family always eats in shifts. There's the twins first, home from school, then there's soccer practice. My daughter, Doreen, she's off to work. Then my husband comes home. He's always late. Thank goodness I found this new kind of dinner roll from Pillsbury.
From the freezer.
I just take out what I need, 2 or 10, throw them in the oven, and bake them up in minutes. It's perfect because I have everything ready whenever they decide to show up. Authentic home-baked classics.
In the freezer.
I don't know what I'd do without them.
It's so easy.
You'll love Ziploc Easy Zipper. Just easy zipper it, and you know it's closed. Ziploc Easy Zipper. Easy open, easy close. Easy zipper.
Airport security loopholes. If you think they've all been closed since September 11th, think about this. Why isn't all checked baggage being x-rayed? And why aren't checked bags being matched with their owners? Eye on America investigates tomorrow on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
In France today, a gunman attacked pedestrians in the city of Tours. Police describe him as, quote, a homicidal maniac. 4 people were killed and 8 wounded when the man opened fire with a shotgun near the city train station. The 44-year-old suspect, a railway worker, was eventually captured in an underground parking garage. Japan's parliament voted today to ease that country's constitutional prohibition against military operations in other countries, clearing the way for Japanese forces to join the U.S.-led campaign in Afghanistan. Japan is expected to limit its role to logistics and other support services and to remain well away from any actual fighting. Tonight's Eye on America examines a part of the home front defense against terrorism, one traced with high-altitude vapor trails over American cities. Those trails are from fully armed U.S. military fighter jets. And as CBS's Richard Schlesinger reports, their pilots know all too well what they might be ordered to do.
Cover 2971, runway 23, occasion.
Cajun 1, notice ground taxi, runway 23.
The Air National Guard pilots at Otis Air Force Base on Cape Cod are used to scrambling against unidentified foreign military airplanes. Now it's a new world and a new mission.
Worst case scenario, I think everybody understands that we could be asked or ordered to shoot down a commercial airliner.
Cajun 1's cleared for takeoff.
On any given day since September 11th, F-15 fighters take off for New York and other cities on what's called combat air patrol, the last line of defense if another plane heads for another building. The pilots cannot be identified for security reasons. We flew with them on a recent mission over New York.
Tango 35.
They can refuel in midair and stay up for hours. The planes are heavily armed with missiles, just in case.
I can honestly say I never in my wildest dreams expected to be flying combat air patrols over New York City. Never in my wildest dreams.
Up until now, it's been almost impossible for a fighter pilot to contemplate shooting down an airliner. It may be more difficult for these men. They are fighter pilots only part-time.
My other job is a 767 pilot for a major airline now.
They all fly for the airlines, and the pilot we flew with knew one of the hijacked pilots.
I was quite a good acquaintance of one particular pilot.
You say good acquaintance, I mean close
friend of mine, yes.
Could you put a commercial airliner in your gun sights and pull the trigger or push the button?
Yes.
There's a reason. The answer is unequivocally yes. I can only imagine if I had to come back after shooting down an airliner full of people that I swore to protect, that I'm going to feel bad about it for a long time. May never sleep again at night, but that's not going to stop me if that order comes from execution, because that's what I've been trained to do.
There's been a lot of talk about the changing face of war, and few people have seen it as close up as these pilots, who have to lie in wait for an enemy who could well appear again in American skies, in American planes, filled with American citizens. In New York, I'm Richard Schlesinger for Eye on America.
The head of Russia's investigation into the sinking of the nuclear submarine Kursk confirmed today what was widely suspected. The submarine sank after one of its own torpedoes exploded. New pictures of the recovered sub's interior show the extent of the damage after the blast ripped open its hull last year, killing all 118 men on board.
If you have osteoarthritis, you owe it to yourself to learn about Celebrex. Celebrex specifically targets only the COX-2 enzyme, a key source of arthritis pain. Celebrex relieves arthritis pain, plus inflammation and stiffness, too. Celebrex should not be taken if you've had aspirin-sensitive asthma or allergic reactions due to aspirin or other arthritis medicines, or certain drugs called sulfonamides. In rare cases, serious stomach problems, such as bleeding, can occur without warning. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems. Powerful 24-hour relief from osteoarthritis pain, inflammation, and stiffness. Ask your doctor about Celebrex, the #1 selling brand of prescription arthritis medicine.
It was my grandson's birthday. He just turned 3. We're going to move him out of his crib and buy him a big boy bed. I was on chemo then, and I was exhausted. I said to the doctor, I need help. I'm on a mission.
If you're a chemotherapy patient and feel tired and weak, you may be anemic. Ask your doctor about Procrit. Procrit is a natural way to regain red blood cells lost during chemotherapy. And more red blood cells can mean more strength.
Oh, this is a great one. This is a good one.
Procrit is proven and safe. In studies, only diarrhea and edema occurred more often with Procrit than placebo. Procrit is for patients with non-myeloid cancers.
How do you like it up here now?
Good. Call now and learn how Procrit can help you get back the strength you need.
See? What'd I tell you?
Your strength for living.
He takes a lot of energy, but I never get tired of him.
Some situations call for trucks with more power. So engineer Mark Ferrone and the team have made GMC Sierras the most powerful line of pickups in the world. And to help manage all that torque, they've also given Sierra technically advanced braking systems. Mark may be obsessed with power, but he's not crazy. From professional-grade people come professional-grade trucks.
Word tonight from the White House that terrorists may be planning another attack on America. We'll have the latest tonight at 6.
In our CBS Evening News end notes, Homeland Security with a high-tech twist. Here's one new option for airlines to meet FAA orders to beef up cockpit security. The maker says it will stand up to any attempt to break inside, even someone peppering the cockpit door with automatic weapons fire. In Chicago, this sign of changing times high in the sky. Former President Bush and Mayor Daley took in the view as the sky deck on the 103rd floor of the Sears Tower reopened today. It had been closed since September 11th. And trick or treat for UNICEF. That children's refrain will stay the same, but there is a difference this year. For the first time, all Halloween donations to UNICEF will be going to help children in and around Afghanistan. And that's part of our world tonight. Dan Rather inviting you to join us again tomorrow for the hard news CBS Evening News. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.